Back now with our Seriously SoCal edition of Inside the Issues. I'm Alex Cohen, and it feels like almost every time we do one of these shows, there's got to be at least one story about a politician and money and questionable behavior, and this episode is no exception. The politician in question this time around is California State Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Earlier this year, news surfaced that he accepted thousands of dollars in campaign contributions from the insurance industry. This despite promise that he would not do that. For more, we turn not only to our panel, but to a special guest, Jamie Court of the group Consumer Watchdog. It's great to have you back with us, Jamie, and we're going to jump right into it. Can you give us, because this is a complicated story, the Cliff's Notes of what happened here with Ricardo Lara?
Thanks, Alex. Yeah, basically, the commissioner pledged when he ran for office not to take insurance industry money, but $50,000 of insurance industry money came into his possession, and it came in after he was elected. And it was weird because it didn't come from insurance companies. It didn't even come necessarily from insurance company executives. It came from the wives of people on the boards of insurance companies, and one company in particular. They were all related to a company that he was making decisions about, both a change of ownership for a Berkshire Hathaway company called Applied Insurance, and also a company that was in disputes with employers, and judges in his department were making decisions against this company, and he had come in and overruled those judges to help the company. Initially, our consumer group had asked for his full calendar to see how this all came about. He said it was inadvertent. It's pretty clear it wasn't inadvertent. There are documents on the record that show he knew he was meeting with insurance companies. They were promising money for Lara 2022 campaign, and they were talking about trying to get approval for this company's change of ownership. Then he blamed his fundraiser and fired his fundraiser. And he said, look, this is horrible, but it was an honest mistake. Well, we found out that the communications that did involve his fundraiser with this company and their agents, those all started in March, and then a few days before, he happened to be in Santa Fe, New Mexico, based on his calendar, at an immigrant rights group event with one of the ringleaders, and he was pictured there. We found it in a photographer's gallery, with one of the ringleaders in the scandal. So it wasn't an honest mistake, and it looks like he was the point of first contact. He has apologized, but at this point, we believe there's circumstantial evidence based on the documents that the DAs could certainly open an investigation into money laundering, because the money may have come from this company through other people, but also bribery, because if you are not allowed to talk about fundraising for a candidate in the same communication as asking for that elected official to do something, and these communications are in black and white.
Okay.
That sounds so familiar to me.
And that's what's interesting, right? Is that we're in California, which is a really blue state, and they're all yelling about Trump, and believe me, there's no comparison. You know, we're not talking about the Ukraine here, but where are the Democrats willing to investigate corruption? Now, he may not be guilty. I'm not saying he's guilty, but what I'm saying is we are at a level where we need an investigation, and if Democrats want to talk about corruption in Washington, they should police corruption in California.
All right, Jimmy, hold on.
Yes, you should police corruption everywhere, okay? And on both sides, I completely agree, because this sounds suspect, okay? It's called, in the hood, we call it sus. He's sus. He is very sus. Very sus.
You can't go and make a promise, which was very clear-cut. I'm not taking money from the industry. And I don't care how the money shows up, this kind of seemingly ridiculous excuse that I didn't know the money was there. And now to be blaming your campaign manager, saying you didn't know where the money was coming from, not your manager, but the person handling your finances, and to, you know, deep six them, it just doesn't add up. And I totally agree with Jamie that, you know, we are a mostly Democratic state, but when there was a Republican insurance commissioner back in the 90s who had the name Chuck Quackenbush, which only Jamie and I remember, and maybe a few others, he got himself in a lot of hot water because he was also taking campaign cash and doing very interesting things with it, including putting on public service ads, right, that were supposed to inform the public, but which other people saw as promoting himself.
Can I just say, did Ricardo ever say he wouldn't take money from insurance lobbyists?
Wise.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what
he didn't say that.
Well, actually, to be fair, they were listed on the forms as a Texas homemaker and a Texas nursery school director. So it was really hard to find this, and that's part of the thing. It was the concealment of the contributions that raised the ire. And then when you look at the fact that he made decisions to help the company that they were connected to, in a weird way. And then at the same time, while he made those decisions, when the documents came out, it was clear that they were talking to him about those decisions and the money in the same email communication or written communication. And if you don't wear a wire, it's really hard to prove bribery. But at very least, there's circumstantial evidence that someone should know what he knew and when he knew it. But we can't ask for those questions. That's why the Attorney General really has to take this over. Attorney General Becerra has been really hard on Trump. We need him to be equally as curious about Californians.
But as they used to say, remember the Ginsu knife commercials? But wait, there's more, and there is on this. News also surfaced that Ricardo Lara is renting a full-time apartment in Sacramento, but he decided that he's going to do this job full-time living here in L.A. Jamie, I know Consumer Watchdog wrote to Attorney General Javier Becerra saying, you know, this is a real problem. And in response to all of this, Lara has issued a public apology, and he said that these failures are not consistent with my personal values. So let's just be in this present moment right now, folks, and say, okay, at this point, what is the right road going forward? Is there anything that he can say or do? Like, what would be the ultimate plan here to make it right?
I think one thing he could do, and which is never going to happen, is say, I will take no campaign contributions of over $100, and obviously go back to his pledge of not taking any contributions at all from the insurance industry, because his credibility is highly suspect at this point.
Yeah. He has put a moratorium on fundraising till the end of the year. But what we're really concerned about is we got some calendar entries, but we didn't get the calendars.
Yeah.
There were no calendars, and we have asked for a privilege log of everything we did not get, and we're told we're not entitled to that. We believe we may have to sue to get it. So transparency is the first thing. He really needs to turn over all the information. For example, there were no emails that we got except one email, which happened to be an email to me about another issue. But otherwise, Ricardo Lara sent no emails involving the scandal. There was one text message, but it came from one of his assistants, and it was a message to him about setting up a meeting with one of the principals with this company that was involved in the scandal, but nothing from Ricardo Lara's phone. So he really needs to actually be fully forthcoming so we can see all of this, and that's one of the reasons we asked the prosecutors to look.
Well, Jamie Court, you have shared your calendar with us. You're a very transparent dude. I know you've got other stuff that you need to tend to, so we are going to let you go. Panelists, you have to stay.